Next up, we have information about incentives and other grant opportunities. And our first presenter in that case will be Christian Damker with the Sacramento Air District, who will talk about incentives that are available there. And after Christian, we will have Molly Johnson from the Placer Air District, who will do some information about other incentives that are available. So please help me welcome Christian Damker, who put on a suit in order to present to you folks.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out. My name's Christian Damker with the Sacramento Air District. We've probably worked with many of you in the room to help you get some of the clean buses that we have on display outside. But I want to give you an update as to what we're doing right now for funding in Sacramento County. Next slide. So we just approved our 2025 funding plan. We're running several solicitations right now. What we are doing is the community greening option, zero emission trucks, buses, and infrastructure, our Charlene McGee Memorial Lawn and Garden program, and also our Carl Moyer program. Next slide. We do have our community greening. If you're interested in it, let us know for time. We'll just skip it for right now. For the most people in the audience, probably interested in our zero emission trucks, buses, and infrastructure option. The primary reason we do this is to reduce community exposure to diesel particulate matter and greenhouse gases. We can provide up to 100% funding to replace your existing combustion equipment with zero emission equipment. To make this work, we've been working with SMUD and some of our other strategic partners to implement this program. And for our current round, we have allocated $9 million towards these projects. Next slide. The other program we're running, which may be of interest to some of the fleets in here, is our Charlene McGee Memorial Lawn and Garden program. It replaces commercial gas-powered lawn and garden equipment with electric. We are currently developing a residential option in case you personally are interested. This is a great way for us to partner with our local businesses. We do have $2 million in funding available for this program, and I believe we've just closed the program recently, but I'm sure we'll reopen it at some point. Next slide. So some of the other programs, we just also launched our Carl Moyer program, which we're targeting towards off-road equipment replacement, larger tractors and industrial pieces of equipment, replacing those with clean diesel or zero emission. We're also very involved in mobility hubs. That's of interest in terms of providing charging in the community, potentially even for school buses at, what do they call them? Field trips. That's what I'm thinking about. So finding locations where your buses may need to top off during the day and such. And on top of that, we are working with our partners at the state to secure additional funding. I will be honest, it's going to be a little tight for the next couple of years, but we definitely want to work with anybody who is interested in promoting zero emission technology in our community, because we want to have those applications, we want to have those partnerships if and when funding comes available. Next slide. So our application program is currently open. We have a 45-day solicitation that actually closes on Father's Day, but you can submit applications the Monday afterwards. We'll still include those. We have a QR code. I definitely recommend taking a picture of that and bookmarking it. My contact information is on the website, and the contact information for our other programs. I believe we have a little bit of time. If you have any questions, I can try and answer those. Yes. Yeah, no, we're actually addressing this. Just down the road at the Power In light rail station, there is a quasi-commercial public EV charging station that was designed for pass-through operations. School buses and trash trucks and stuff can go in and out and doing that. We're trying to identify strategic partners to set up more of your public commercial pass-through operations, specifically so you don't have to go to Walmart or behind a Raley's and kind of take up a bunch of spaces, specifically to address that. Yeah, the question was about the difficulty of charging a school bus at a typical, retail type operation that we have fast charging availability. Any other questions? Well, we've had great success with our off-road program and with our lawn and garden program. However, we do need more applications for our zero emission projects, specifically the school bus replacements. We'd like to see a bit more of those, and also charging, not only for depot charging, but for public charging for vehicles. Go for it.
2 inches.
You got it. If we're from a different air quality district, can we go and ask for funding, or are we able to kind of cross over? Because we're Yolo Solano, and when they run out of money, then if you have money, we have the buses.
We only represent Sacramento County. We've done some projects in the past with other air districts. I believe we're going to have some other air districts speaking as well. So yeah, every air district, every county basically has their own program, but we're selfish. We do our own county. Thing. Okay. Cool. Well, if that, I'm glad to help, and I'll be taking off here pretty soon, but definitely check out our website and communicate with the Clean Cities organizations. They're a great resource to help you with anything that you need incentives wise. And thanks for coming.
And as Christian sort of previewed, we do have a presentation. Molly Johnson with the Placer Air District will be presenting their information as well as other sort of more general information about grants available. So please help welcome Molly Johnson.
Good morning, everybody. As Tim said, I'm Molly Johnson with the Placer County Air Pollution Control District. I'm an air quality specialist. I will also indicate that my colleague Emily Moore is here as well. And I do just want to quickly say, because this is definitely a team effort, but I will say that I applied for a grant from the EPA for EPA targeted airshed grant funding in order to fund electric school buses in Placer County. And as part of that grant, I identified a need for, I had heard that there used to be this school bus consortium, but that it stopped meeting because the leader retired and COVID happened. And so the group had stopped meeting. And so I thought that there was a real need for transportation directors to be able to have this forum again. And so I worked with Heather Taylor from Sac Metro, and we started having some meetings and coordinating this group. And then Tim got involved, and I am just so proud. I mean, this event, I mean, we took our little group that we just used to meet during Zoom, and we would sometimes meet in person. And to see where this group has gone, I just think it's amazing and incredible. And that's because of the efforts of Tim and Gina with Sac Metro. And I'm very proud and happy to be a part of it. And so and the Clean Mobility Center and all the partners and the dealers and the vendors and everyone that's here today, I'm really proud and impressed of this group. of what it's become. So thank you all for coming. So usually what I do, this is my sort of normal dog and pony show that I talk about funding opportunities at both the local, state, and federal levels. And I try to encompass other air districts. I will say that I did leave Yolo Solano off my list. I made a note to look more into that next time at what to find funding opportunities from some of the other surrounding air districts. But I definitely have information about Placer County and SAC Metro's information, although Christian gave a much more comprehensive overview of SAC Metro's funding opportunity. But so I did sort of acknowledge Christian's comment that although the funding opportunities have definitely decreased, we're still trying to remain optimistic. And we don't want that to be an impediment to anyone that's interested in electrification contacting us. And because I work with districts all the time to come up with electric school bus funding plans. And what we do is we kind of start the process, get some of the details, set some goals, and then find the funding. And so I don't want to discourage people from starting down that path. And then, hoping that the funding comes later or be poised and ready to move forward when the funding is available. So, I'm sorry. I do have a handout. We want to distribute that. I did only bring 30 copies. But I think that Tim is also going to post this on the Clean Cities website after the event. Okay. So starting at the local level, normally the Placer County Air Pollution Control District, so this is specific to school districts that are in Placer County. Normally we do have what's called our Clean Air Grant Program. We have an annual solicitation where we accept applications primarily for on-road heavy-duty vehicles, off-road equipment, and infrastructure. Because of issues with funding, we did not open that solicitation this year, but we hope to be back in 2026. And that generally opens and is open from April 1st to May 31st. So if you're from Placer County, look for us next year. There is a possibility that we will open a solicitation later this year specifically for school buses, for electric school buses. So stay tuned. Also on this list is SAC Metro's program. So I'm not going to go over that. It just sort of summarizes it, and the link is there if you are in Sacramento County and you're interested in applying for funding for electric school buses or infrastructure. Contact SAC Metro. I always want to mention that, and these sort of change and are kind of dynamic rebate programs, but a good process is to always check with your local utility because they often have rebates for both infrastructure and vehicles. So on the state funding list, maybe several of you have received funding in the past from ZESB. We were hoping that ZESB was going to be funded for a third year. ZESB did not currently make it into the May revision of the budget, but we're all staying tuned to see if that will change. And so as of now, we're not sure where ZESB's at, and it may not open another round, but we're going to try to be optimistic about that. There is also HVIP. However, that is currently closed, but all of these things are good just to keep on the radar in the event that they do open up and start accepting applications. One program that is currently open is called Energize. It's funded by the California Energy Commission. According to my notes here, their fast track funding lane opened May 13th and is open through July 15th. So if you are, a lot of times with ZESB, you get funding for infrastructure already. But if you do have infrastructure funding needs, you may want to check out ZESB. If you feel that you could benefit from any technical assistance related to fleet electrification, there is also a program that is available from the California Air Resources Board. I believe they use a contractor to implement the program, but it's called Cal Fleet Advisor, and it's a free technical assistance program for anyone that is interested in exploring fleet electrification options. And I have included their website on the handout. At the federal level, the Clean School Bus Program, they did accept applications through they closed that program in January of 2025. As far as I know, they have not made any awards. I'm not sure of the current status of that. But I'm also interested, if you applied and you get an award, I'd be interested in finding that out, and hopefully that those the EPA will make good on those applications. EPA also does have a technical assistance program, which is not currently open, but just listed here as something to keep on your radar in the event that something changes there. The other information that I typically, and they're also in this list of federal resources, are the tax credits. There are supposed to be available tax credits for buses and infrastructure, but it would be for vehicles that are being delivered in 2024. I'm not sure if it's going to extend through vehicles delivered in 2025 or not, but there's some links on there to find out additional information about some of those programs. Another aspect of what I typically talk about in my funding opportunities update is a list of upcoming meetings and events. So there's 2 forums that are offered that have semi-monthly meetings. One is the California Forum, and one is it's the Electric School Bus Network California Forum, as well as there is a national forum. So they meet semi-monthly. There is a meeting coming up for the California Forum on July 2nd and on June 11th for the National Forum. And those meetings usually they usually have a specific topic that they focus on. So maybe it might be route planning or charging infrastructure, or just talking about the different electric school buses that are available. But they usually have a presentation, and then there's opportunity for questions and answers. And then it's kind of like this, where it's set up as a learning community where people can ask questions and learn from other people that have some more experience in specific areas. And so the last upcoming event is the STN Expo Green Bus Summit. That is held annually, usually in mid-July. That's coming up July 11 through 16 this year. It will be in Reno, and the early bird registration ends tomorrow, and then they'll have standard registration available through 6/20. That's a very good opportunity. A lot of these bus dealers and infrastructure vendors will be there at that Green Bus Summit, and you would have the opportunity to see buses. I think they also coordinate ride-in drives at that event, and you would have the opportunity to have hear some presentations about electric school buses and infrastructure, and talk with some of the vendors. So with that, are there any questions? Yes. Yeah.
Replace diesel school buses. Say it again. If you
So
had to guess, how much funding would be available for replacing diesel buses in the Sacramento area? I
and
know Chris
Gina
mentioned
or
9
Christian,
billion.
if Gina or Christian can, my understanding at this time is because the primary funding opportunity that's available at this time is through Sac Metro. And from my notes, they have $9 million available to fund on-road vehicles and charging infrastructure.
Okay, so $9 million. Okay, and how much through other funding opportunities, even including the federal? It's 965 million possibly. How much do you think of that might get to Sacramento?
Do you want the mic, Mike? Come on up.
So I'm Mike Nuremberg, Sacramento Air District, and I'm going to say that's an unknown when you start saying how much money is available for any particular region. I mean, for our own local agency, yes, we probably have on average about 15 to 20 million that comes into our agency in incentives. But we can also get special one-time grants that come in from the California Energy Commission, maybe from ARB, maybe from EPA. There could be other funding sources we don't even think of. We're doing, for example, in Yolo County, a project for Sierra Northern Railway for $15 million just to do fuel cell locomotives over there as experimental. So that to me is an unknown question when you start saying, okay, what's the world of incentives? The reality is we could probably easily, if we had $100 million a year for school buses, we could easily spend $100 million a year in Sac County, but we don't get that kind of cash, just so you know. So realistically, from our agency end, we probably have the neighborhood of about 10 million a year. We can probably go towards school buses and infrastructure. Plus, we have other. As an agency, not only do we have school buses, but we have heavy duty trucks. We got medium duty trucks. Even some of these things you're seeing out here in this shop, those are things that we're going to want to target and replace as well. We're going to want to target even like the off-road elements. We want to build out the infrastructure that's needed to support vehicles like this. And be honest, our agency also has a high emphasis on hydrogen as well. We think that that's actually, it's not talked about much in the forums right now at this point in time, but we do think on a long-term future basis that hydrogen is going to be one of the key elements for, especially for long-haul trucks and things along that line. It may even be something that comes in even to your battery school buses. I would say don't be surprised if 10 years from now, your hybrid school bus is not a hybrid diesel electric, it's a hydrogen battery school bus. So, and you may wonder, well, why would you do that? Well, because it's probably still cheaper to get electricity than it is to get hydrogen, and that will probably always be true. But you may still want the hydrogen element in order to give you the additional range and mileage that you need to go where you go. So, we want to talk about technology. That's, if you want to start blowing your mind away, start thinking about what's going to be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. That's going to change. And then the funding, obviously, we're going to keep advocating to get more funds. I think we're not going to turn away money. There's some minor reductions we're seeing right now at our local agency. Nothing significant from what I can see at this point. But the push is going to always be to continue to get more funds as much as we can, both at a local level, state, and it's a little difficult right now at the federal level, but that climate could change a few years down the road as well. So that's probably if you're looking for an answer of what we have each year, it varies a little bit, but probably about 10 million a year is about on average what we're going to have. So, yeah.
And I will just add for Placer County, because our solicitation did not open this year in 2025, I'm a little bit uncertain about what 2026 will look like in terms of funding availability. But typically, I would say we generally have at least $1 million, which isn't very much, to apply towards EVs. And that's why we work with school districts to help them develop a plan and then identify sources of co-funding, and because we have such limited funds available. But I would say that potentially in 2026 we could have between, it could be more than $1 million, but that is kind of a safe number for me to say at this point.
Biggest thing is just make sure that it's not only just local agencies you're looking at, but one of the things we'll help partner with you with is when state HVIP grants and other things are coming available, we'll work to help you out and partner along those lines. So I don't ever want people to think you're limited on the number there. We just sometimes have to look for resources and keep your eyes open because there's always something that's coming out from someplace.
That reminds me, we are a huge advocate at the Air District at Sac Metro to apply for the gold standard. Maybe we can't get you the incentives to supplement your project today, but if we know that the need exists, there have been a lot of projects that we've been able to influence for the next round of funding. Greening on our current incentives is part of that. We found that we put chargers in, sometimes they don't perform as well if they're not shaded. So now we've got a greening application that we can assist 100% to plant trees to cover those chargers. So apply, let us know what it is you want. Maybe we can't give it to you today, but we will know that it's needed for the next time. Any other questions? Molly, you're amazing as usual.
Thank you. You are as well. And so is Tim.